Welcome, one and all, back to Anime Odyssey, where once a month on this channel, we weeb the hell out because we want to. All right, let's dive right in. Let's say hello to everybody, and let's get started. Hail to my, I guess I'll call you my co-host. I'm not gonna be mean tonight. Hail, Jeremy. How you doing, Jeremy? You're on Potato Internet this month.
That's right. I'm on Potato Internet. I'm on my phone right now, sitting in a park, and I fuck Christ broadband. It always happens. It always goes out when I need it the most.
Well, you're in a park, so I'm sure fun things will happen to you while you're there.
Hey, there's a weird man giving out drugs. Oh,
Well, you know that, man. It's
In
okay.
Kansas?
You see, if this was any other stream, I'd tell you to go talk to the man. But no, this is my stream, so we're going to stick to the book. Anyway, we are joined this month by our good friend Static 2020 Static. We've streamed together a bunch. This is the first time you're on my channel. Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, glad to be here. I was quite honored by the Renaissance Nerd follow on Twitter because I know you don't follow many people. So that was certainly a highlight of the day. Plus, it's Thursday as it is, and that means the weekend is only one day away.
Yes, I follow people I stream with. That's kind of my thing. If I stream with you, I follow you, and we've streamed enough together now that you broke through that. So if you're on the channel, you get it. And we're hanging out a lot late doing stuff because hell, every Tuesday we're on Dermy's channel. So there you go. Anyway, all right. Hail to the chat. Glad you guys are showing up. We hope you enjoy the rest of the show because we got a good one for you. You're gonna get you guys are gonna get a good discussion tonight because we're talking about Pluto, a Netflix anime based in the Astro Boy world. So it is based in a legitimate anime universe. And you're going to get some differing opinions on this tonight. I can guarantee that. After that, Dermy's got a special rant prepared. He's going to share his feelings on Attack on Titan overall. I will chime in a little bit. And if Static is still with us, because Static does have another stream to get to on his own channel, he will, of course, share his thoughts as well. And whatever else comes up, it's kind of an open book. There wasn't a lot of extra news that anime-wise that caught my attention this month because we're still in the middle of the winter season or the fall season, and I haven't watched anything from this season yet, so I have no thoughts on currently anything going on and other little news. Nothing popped out at me, but anyway, so hail and howdy to the chat. We guys hope you enjoy the rest of the show and hit that like button if you enjoy it. Everybody's links are in the description below, so let's get started. Dermy, this was your choice this month, Pluto. Why don't you lay the groundwork before we get into
so it is technically an Astro Boy world. I would say it's like a parallel universe to Astro Boy. It has
a parallel, yeah.
It has all the exact same like countries and stuff that Astro Boy has, similar characters and stuff, but it is missing the one key thing that from Astro Boy, which is Astro Boy. They have a stand-in name.
Boy.
He is Astro Boy, but he's not Astro Boy.
But he is Astro Boy. I mean,
yeah, it's hard to explain without actually showing people it. Like you can tell the distinct differences, but the distinct similarities. Mm-hmm. For the most part, this is a anime that is, I would say, heavy in themology and tries to tell you. It talks about hate, human rights, war being bad, and I think that's pretty much it. If I'm missing anything.
There's things, yeah, it's an Astro Boy. You're right. It's an Astro Boy parallel universe. And, all right, I'm gonna go long. Static, go ahead and chime in. Is this your first experience with Astro Boy?
I want to say I watched Astro Boy a long time ago, and I don't remember it at all. And also, there's an Astro Boy series and a movie? Or is it just a movie?
There's two. Yeah. OG, remake, and then movie.
Yeah.
Okay. I watched a movie a long time ago.
I think the most recent one was 2009. Was that the most recent one? I was looking some stuff up a few days ago.
That was the movie back in 2009.
Yeah. That would be about that time.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I've had limited experience with Astro Boy myself. Of course, I'm aware of it as an old school weeb. When we did get ranked on Devil's Channel ranking old school anime, I allowed it to be as high up on the list that it was, be out of respect, because it's an original anime. It's one of the foundational pillars of anime. I can't put it any other way. But here's the thing. It's not my cup of tea. Never was. And after watching Pluto, it never will be, because I had a feeling what I was getting into with Pluto. Because what Pluto is, it's taking place in this Astro Boy world where it's post a very horrific war that went on in East Central Asia, namely the Kingdom of Persia. And the show itself lays the groundwork at first that it was a righteous war, but then as they show the onion around this peels back, it's really was a war of it was a manufactured war. Is that fair, Dermy, to say that?
Yes, it's a stand-in for basically the Iraq War and situations like that, just within their world.
Yeah, but it also is tied into after the manufactured war. Then leads into a lot of people guilty about it. The 7 major robots of the world, who are the most advanced robots, 6 of the 7 all took part in it. The 7th one, Epsilon, didn't, because he's a pacifist, but all the ones took part of it. And as the fallout of it, as the movie begins, the first one, Mont Blanc, has been murdered. And in this world, murder of a robot is as much a murder of a human being, because robots have rights in this world.
Weird.
Hey man, I don't need my sex bot talking about things, you know. Sometimes
Yeah, the
go ahead.
I'm sure we'll get into it, but the robots' rights thing was not interesting at all.
No. All right. I guess we're going to get right into that. I'm going to be brutally honest. I found this show massively boring. I didn't hate it. I just found it very boring and predictable, because you have this whole arc of the major arc is the revenge arc, to take revenge on or it's somebody. How do I put this? I mean, we're going to spoil some stuff, because obviously not everybody's here with us has watched it, but we don't want to leave it completely spoiled if you do want to watch it all the way through. But there is the thread of the true mastermind behind all this. Who, Dermy, does that AI mastermind even get a name in this?
No,
the teddy bear Thracian mastermind.
It's been a while since I've watched actual Astro Boy myself. I don't even know what that was. I would say I might need to actually read the graphic novel it is based off of to figure out who the heck that teddy bear was. But I've watched the show now 2 to 3 times. They never gave it a name.
It was I called the teddy bear Thracian AI. That was that was apparently when it suddenly appears in, I think, episode 6 for a second, because 6 is where Gazette buys it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it might have even been as late as 7.
I think it was 6, because it appears saying, "I know Gazette's weakness. Here's how you deal with him, and that's how you'll stop." And that's the first time we see the teddy. I'm like, why am I looking at a teddy bear?
Yeah,
and
you never really find out why, do you?
Well, I guess at the end of it, again, guys, we apologize. Spoilers going to happen. The Thracian teddy bear AI wanted to wipe off all human life on the planet, just about, so that robots could inherit the earth. That was their plan.
But where did that thing even come from?
The teddy bear AI, it's United States of Thracia, which is the stand-in for America.
Right,
yes,
but who created that?
We don't know.
It was just the government?
I don't know. I mean, the president is the president of Thracia is its lackey. So he's not in control of it. This thing is our big bad, and we don't get it until episode 6. And mind you, each one of these episodes is an hour long, essentially.
Hour long.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I would say that some of them are an hour and a half. I actually found some of them to go by quite fast.
Oh,
but that's because we're
okay. Were you drinking?
No, actually, I was very sober throughout them all. I was enjoying it. That's why.
And I'm sitting here, I'm fidgeting, my leg is bouncing, I'm looking around, I'm trying to resist doing something else on the other monitor, because I have to stay focused, because I've never seen this before and I need to pay attention what's going on.
For me, the first episode was the most brutal. That one seemed to just go on and on.
Because it's an hour and 34 minutes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause
Yes.
it's fucking long.
It's essentially how do I put this? I'm doing the math real quick.
I
in
would
my head.
say it's
I
2
can't do
episodes
math.
wrapped into one.
Not even that. When I was watching this, I was breaking this down to how many regular anime episodes have I watched, and that first episode is essentially 4 regular episodes of an animated hour because 22 minutes odd an episode. I essentially watched 4 episodes in that time. And Static, you're absolutely right. Here's the problem with that first episode. The world, they don't set up the world for us. That is one of my biggest problems when I got into this. I understand it's not our Earth. It's a usual anime parallel Earth, this and that. I can instantly understand where it's a different technological society because we're dealing with robots. I see flying cars, this and that. But then I start to realize I don't know anything about this. Even if I had a minuscule understanding of Astro Boy lore, which I don't, the show doesn't help you at all to educate you on anything. And when it does, it's too much exposition when it starts to.
To be perfectly honest with you, I still like this anime. I have tons of complaints about it as well, but I didn't know it was an Astro Boy world until I think episode 4 or 5 when I was actually like watching I think it's the opening when it says Astro Boy world.
When I did, if I hadn't asked you and you told me what this was, I wouldn't have known it as Astro Boy because even though Adam is Astro Boy, it's a realistic look of him, and if you know what you're looking at, you can see the Astro Boy hairdo in his calyx, and when he's flying, then that's obviously Astro Boy, but you don't know it's an Astro Boy world.
By the way, that intro has like massive spoilers.
Because it's showing you pages from the manga.
Yeah, and it's like the one in particular that's sticking out to me right now is when Adolf is pointing that weapon at Gesicht. And it's like, oh, well, then as soon as I see him, now I know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Or Gesicht protecting Adolf, or President so-and-so the 14th in his cell with the flowers on the wall. And
so
I actually didn't see that scene. I didn't see that in the opening.
I remember partial photographic memory. I see shit in sticks.
I have a question.
Yes.
Now, I don't watch much anime. I've watched more of it this last year than I probably have my entire life. When it comes to picking the English names, do they match the Japanese names? Because I'm very curious that they named the character who hates robots Adolf.
They usually would.
This is Japan. They totally would do it. Yeah, it's totally
okay.
They don't change names. That was straight. Yeah, and I loved it. He always whistled with the mustache because that was the haircut. It was the haircut too. I just thought, whoa! So they named the German guy Adolf. Okay, okay. Who wants to massacre robots? All right.
And I didn't like the fact that I could relate to someone named Adolf in the way that they felt about this.
Here's the thing. Yeah, we were talking about in pregame transitional phrases, and I just said one of them that I use too many videos. Here's the thing. That's one of my stupid ones I'm trying to cut out of my vernacular. One of the problems of this show, and again, I'm picking on this already. I'm sorry, and we'll talk about the stories we go along here. The transitions in this show are terrible. Especially if they're doing a backstory, there's no indication we're suddenly in the past.
Well, you could just start right off with North number 2.
I would say a lot of the transitions are super freaking jarring.
Yeah.
Okay, North number 2, one of the 7 powerful robots of the world who participated in the war. His whole thing is that I don't want to be just a killing machine anymore. He goes to work as a butler for a blind musician who's one of the greatest artists in the world for movies. He scores movies. The guy has this the old man has this whole hate boner for his mom who he thinks he left him. That whole episode was so unnecessary because after that, it's pointless for the rest of the series. It's just for North number 2 and this guy, but it means nothing later on.
They had that whole 45 minutes of North number 2 just to blow him up.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, now we saw this other robot, the other robot taken off the board.
Yeah.
And for me, I found North number 2 to be possibly one of the more compelling robots of the 7. We got no backstory.
Yes.
We got nothing about the big mountain guy. What's his fucking
Mont
name?
Blanc.
Yeah.
He liked to play. He liked to be. He was an environmentalist. Yeah.
No, you got some with Mont Blanc in some of the backstory areas. You know that he was an environmentalist for the most part. He was a pacifist, and he cared about like the Alps. Like he cared about that place more than anything.
He wasn't a pacifist. I want to say he in that
Well,
one
he
scene
killed
with
people in the
Hercules,
war.
he had the highest body count.
Yeah. Hercules comes.
Well, I would say he was not happy that he had to do it. He
No,
did what he
no,
had to do, but he was definitely not for any of this.
Static, you walk this. One of the, as we said, one of the major plot points of this is revenge. A scientist who technically died and was reborn thanks to Dr. Tenma. And I'm going to say this right now. I'll get out of the way. Best part of this show is Dr. Tenma, voiced by. I said his name the other day and I just forgot it. Keith. Oh my God.
Guy that does Arbiter.
The guy that does Goliath.
Keith Davidson. No.
Keith Olbermann.
Not Keith David.
Stop.
No.
We
No.
were talking about it yesterday, and I just forgot it. Oh man, brain.
Had this conversation Tuesday.
We were Tuesday. We were talking about this on Tuesday, and I had his name perfectly fine, and now I just forgot it.
I always forget his name. I only remember him by his roles.
And I know exactly who he is. We were talking about. And you guys got to say this on Tuesday. Static didn't know who he was, and Jeremy and I are rolling through all his names. Keith David, thank you, Dre. Thank you, Keith David. Thank you, Dre. Keith David, yes, Keith David as Dr. Tenma, best part of the show for me because Keith freaking David, and he has an iconic voice, and he knows.
It started getting interesting when that character finally showed up too. Like the pace kind of picked up towards 6, 7, and 8.
But thing is, though, Dr. Tenma was there when he created a robot who thinks it's the actual human who wants revenge for the death of his family because he thought he was the human who lost his family. So he creates 2 horrible robots to destroy the earth. One robot to kill all the powerful robots who can stop the giant robot who can cause a giant supervolcano to explode and wipe out the earth. There's your major plot of this. All strings being pulled by Teddy Bear Thracian AI, who we don't even learn about till towards the end. Okay, fine. But that's the thing.
We don't even learn about the teddy bear, to be perfectly honest. We just know it exists.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I did it again. Motherfucker, I did it again. Static brought it up. North, number 2, gets aced in that one episode. It was in that point.
Episode 1.
2. No, that was 2.
No, it was 1.
No, that's episode 1.
God damn it.
It's the second part of episode 1.
All bleeds together. All bleeds together. But you understand what I'm saying. After Mont Blanc dies and North 2 dies, predictability. Every single one of them is going to die, except Astro Boy. Because I knew right away when his body is returned to us intact and Dr. Tenma comes on the scene, Astro Boy's plot armor is now in effect. And he will be the one to save everybody yet. The predictability of this was just... It was that's what one of the things that took me out of it. I knew every single one of these hero robots was going to get destroyed by Pluto, the evil robot, who doesn't want to be an evil robot because his evil daddy robot made him do it.
Right. Also, isn't Adam, aka Astro Boy, the only body that even comes back after like otherwise it's just their memory chips that they get from everyone else?
That I knew
no. Gazette technically does have a body, but it's not fully intact.
Well, Gazette didn't die to Pluto. Gazette died in another way. It's just, but you still knew Gazette was going to die.
Yes.
Especially over his episode, all the red flags were there. We're going to adopt a child. We're going to take a happy vacation. It's just, can you wave the red flag, the doom flag any harder? He's about to die.
So I actually did not expect him to die. I'm being perfectly honest because, again, I didn't know. No, I'm legitimate here because I didn't know it was an Astro Boy show until I think it had been his episode when I noticed, hey, it's Astro Boy. Huh? Then, okay, I started thinking, okay, I guess Gazette's going to survive the whole time, especially because in the promotional material, they were focusing all on Gazette. That's why when he finally gets off, it was jarring.
No, was he?
Yeah, it was
jarring for me because I saw every single death flag, doom flag in that entire episode. I saw, okay, he beat Pluto, which means he could beat Pluto easily, and Pluto retreated. Mm-hmm. Then he's talking about he reconciles that he has hate in him. He reconciles the fact that he understands he needs to be there for his wife. He realizes, I want to adopt a child again after he gets the memories of his child that was murdered after they just adopted it. It was all there. And then you see the little robot, the little flower robot walking forward. But, oh, here it comes. Here it comes. And he had the missile on his arm.
Yeah. Now, I'll say I didn't. So I thought it was going to be Gazette and Adam that made it to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then Adam died, and I was like, oh, well, everyone's on the board now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, I thought Gazette was going to make it to the end with Adam. I thought they were going to be like a team.
Mm-hmm.
Because and then Adam died. And I'm like, wait a second. There's this part in the opening that I haven't seen yet with Adam. I'm like,
Yep. I knew as soon as I realized he was Astro Boy, I knew, okay, he's got plot armor. Somehow, even though he has been taken off the board, he's in one piece. When I saw his body in one piece in episode 5, I realized that's it. He's not dead. Because now Dr. Ten was on the scene. He's going to resurrect him somehow. But now we got the whole injecting of Dark Thoughts plot arc that has been introduced, and that's to come back, and it's going to make him stronger than ever. But he's going to regain his self. He's not going to go down the dark path. It was all there, and I knew it was going to happen. And then I also knew that Pluto was going to turn good. I knew that was going to happen. After the whole Zahad arc, and we find out the origin of Pluto, I realized there's no way he stays evil till the end. He's going to help Adam fight at the end.
The only reason I knew he was going to end up changing good is during the whole Epsilon. Is it Epsilon?
Yes.
Epsilon, the pacifist?
Yeah. Yeah, Epsilon storyline. That was the only moment I knew that Pluto was going to turn good.
I knew it from when he interacted with Adam's little sister, when he was hijacking that construction bot's daily body. That's when I knew he was going to turn good. I thought, okay, he doesn't want to do this. He's being forced to do this by others, and he's going to turn. But you bring it back to this. When all these things are predictable, at least give me something to be entertained by the predictability. When we don't see Pluto for literally his actual form for 7 episodes, and all we get is the tornado fight, I was annoyed. In all honesty, I was very annoyed because in the end, Adam versus Pluto in episode 8 is kind of meaningless because we didn't see Adam versus Pluto. I think, what is it? Is it episode 5? Round 1?
Yeah, it would have been episode 5.
We don't see it. And a rematch fight should have power and grip you when you saw the first one if our hero protagonist loses to the villain, or at least the enemy in this sense, because Pluto isn't a villain. He's a manipulated character. And that was missing for me. And we had all these great and powerful robots, and we really get no fights. And then Adam versus Pluto was pretty average to me.
Dude, that North number 2 fight pissed me off so much.
You should have seen it. Especially when he breaks out all his hardware. You're thinking, oh, man, he's going to go to town.
Mm-hmm.
And all you see is zip, zip, lightning, lightning. Over. And old man, North number 2, come home. I want to play the piano.
Do you think he knew he was dead when he said that?
Yeah.
Because he said it kind of weird.
Yeah. It was just, again, I say boring. I say boring because there are moments where it could capture my interest, but it doesn't. And the only thing that kept me in were the mystery of who is this, who is that, and what's this all connecting to.
Yeah.
I did want to know that, but I wasn't compelled.
I when I was going to bed last night, I said, "Oh, I don't have to watch Pluto."
So I burned through it in 48 hours because I had the time. I had to arrange everything so I had nothing else to do. All videos done, all streams scheduled on different days. Tuesday, I had nothing to do except finish Pluto. I started it on Monday and just finished it on Tuesday. But that's all right, Dermy. I'm going to give you a chance now because Static and I have been shitting all over this.
Yeah.
Defend it.
I didn't
I've been
hate
shitting on it. Static's been just.
I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I didn't.
Go
hate
ahead.
it either.
We'll let Dermy talk, and then I can.
Yeah,
I-
Dermy, go ahead and defend it. I don't want
I
to deny
think-
you this. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say there are tons of problems in the show, like episodes running too long, not enough. A lot of your guys' complaints are valid, like, hey, scene transitions need to be a whole lot better because North number 2, when I first saw it, I thought that was episode 2, didn't realize that was episode 1.
Mhm.
But I think this is an example of like an anime I kind of like because I like the story-based animes and I like the animes that deal with like harder concepts and stuff like that.
Okay.
So like concepts of hate being a major plot point here. You say it's revenge, I say it's the ideas of hate and how hate can affect you and how you can't really control it. And things like that I gravitate to in a little bit differently than other people. I like the whole, even though they don't really justify Bruno going to fight Pluto at all, I do like
Ugh.
Bruno's story. I like then the whole revenge and hate aspect that is then born through Hercules, because he wanted to fight Bruno so badly to have this epic last battle of theirs. But Bruno went to go sacrifice himself essentially to battle Pluto. So Hercules goes to battle Pluto and doesn't give up until the very end. I liked how Epsilon was pretty much the only one without hate in his entire heart. And even that didn't save the day. I like these concepts. And also, we go to Adolf, who I actually kind of like Adolf's storyline. Because Adolf's storyline is he hates robots having rights. But then he is immediately changed because he has to deal with the robot that actually took his brother's life. And that robot is willing to sacrifice himself in order to save Adolf. So Adolf is then transformed. And one of the big themes, I think, is you can't have hate control you altogether. But there is no way to solve hate.
All right. Let me respond to some of this then. I agree with you. The themes that they express in the show, which is why I don't hate the show, because the themes are all legitimate themes. Control hate, don't let it rule you. Hate begets hate. What is emotion? What is a soul? Because that is, again, that's the kind of question that always comes up in these robot AI types of shows. What is a soul? What makes you alive? What makes you human? And all that stuff is fine. My problem with this show is that they kind of hammer you over the head with it. Every 5 seconds, they're talking about it. Every 5 seconds, it's, oh, can you have hate in your heart? Oh, can you love this? Oh, what's it like to be with a human? Oh, what's it like to feel like a human? What's this or that? Oh, you're just mimicking it. It rattles it off. This show should have been, honestly, 5 episodes. They could have shaved off a lot of exposition about
It might have
things.
been really good if they did that.
It needed to be tighter. It went on too long.
I think
Drew stuff too far out. If it had been a tighter, more cohesive story, yes, I understand all these elements needed to be told. Because as annoying as, to me, Adolf's story was with the Robot Hate League, as annoying as all the backstories were, as annoying as Gazette solving every little mystery to connect it all, yes, I understand from a storytelling perspective, they're all intricately necessary. They're all part of the DNA of this. None of them are inconsequential, but they just dragged on too long.
I think the problem with it dragging on is the show didn't know what it wanted to be. If I'm going to be brutally honest with you, because it starts off being a murder mystery, then deals with corruption, then is all about zero hate and has all these epic fights. But it needed to pick a path.
Epic fights.
Okay. Supposedly epic fights. You don't see them, but you hear that they're epic.
You have to see
you hear that they're epic. You don't actually see them. You have fights. Okay, you have fights that you don't get to see. Although I do like, even though Bruno has no real justification to go out and actually battle Pluto.
Fight as a team. Fight as a team. God damn it! I was screaming that during them. I was going, fight as a team. 2 or 3 of you could have won this.
Especially
You're not wrong.
And what's his bucket were like on the same military team, right?
Yes.
Like, I mean,
they all were. They legitimately all were.
No, they all weren't, because North number 2
Different deal,
Hercules
yeah.
says that he never met
Oh.
the guy.
But Bruno and Hercules were war
Yeah.
buddies. They were brothers in
Mhm.
arms on the battlefield. And Adam was there, but Adam had a different role and all that. We know
Adam was the peacekeeper, and then Epsilon was the cleanup guy.
and Gazekt was an on the ground sniffer for things like that. But at least Bruno and Hercules could have. It would have been so much cooler if we had seen a Bruno and Hercules fight Pluto. Pluto not hitting the tornado. That would have been an epic fight in their armors.
Personally, I don't think Hercules needed to be in the show at all.
He didn't do anything, did he?
No, he didn't, and he didn't have any sort.
No, he does.
It's
His
very
fight.
light.
His fight with Pluto ends up giving Epsilon data that
Yes,
Epsilon then
that's
transfers.
right. He's talking
They
about.
could have.
He's
They
talking
could have
about
done the
his
same
side
thing
story.
with Bruto or whatever his
Oh.
fucking name is, because they're the same character. Just Bruto has a family, and Hercules is just a loner. You know, they both just like to fight and that whole thing. But like Bruno was so much more compelling because he's a robot who's like this world famous athlete that has a family, like, and Hercules just sat on the beach all day.
I would actually view it the other way around. Even though Bruno, I think, has a interesting story. He literally just exists to die. That's his whole point to being there, because he doesn't have a reason to go battle Pluto. Like Hercules' reason to go battle Pluto ends up being because Bruno died, but
yes,
Bruno doesn't exist.
You could say the same thing because Bruno was pissed off about Mont Blanc.
Mont Blanc, yeah.
He said that.
Okay.
You're right. Static's right. But Static brings up a great door to walk through here. One of the reasons I had trouble with this also is because I failed to connect with any of these characters. The way their stories were presented to me,
I liked Adolf.
Went on.
I liked Adolf.
That's gonna get clipped. That's getting clipped. That's getting clipped. Let's see. 35 minutes in. That's getting clipped. But in all seriousness, I didn't. Every time somebody died, every time something important happened, I didn't feel anything. When Gazekt, you're supposed to really be connected to Gazekt through this whole thing because you start with him, you travel with him. When you learn that he developed hate because he kills, he found because Adolf's brother murdered his child.
Yeah,
And
we're doing.
When you learn all that, it's supposed to connect with me, and it's that even that didn't, because normally I'd be like, yeah, that's right, kill that motherfucker. He deserved every little thing he gets for killing your kid. That's fine. But I felt nothing when Gazette gets killed. I just went, okay. Why? Just ask one another, because you see it coming.
I didn't see it coming, so I think that might be why I connected with Gazekt more, and I actually was kind of taken back when he does die.
The biggest emotional thing I had for me, I think, had to do everything with Dr. Tenma.
Definitely.
That was the most emotional stuff I got. One, again, because I said before, Keith David gives a Keith David voice acting performance. The guy is a veteran. He is a legend at this point with his voice acting career, and he nails it perfectly. And I feel Tenma. Let's just fact that you got the black man playing the Asian man, but I'm okay with that because we don't play those games. But that was it. And his story with Adam and all that stuff, that I felt mainly because of Keith David and his performance. But nobody else drew me in, Dermy. Nobody else.
I would say Tenma has the best story, especially because it's not one for one with a classic Astro Boy kind of storyline. But
I looked it up. It is.
In at least the remake, Tenma does start out being essentially the villain, but he's not outright the villain. That's what I kind of gravitated to when it came to Tenma, because I thought his story was super compelling. Like, the reason he does everything is because his son died, and he's just been on this quest to kind of try to bring back his son, but he keeps failing.
As someone who knows nothing about Astro Boy, is Tenma part of that story?
Tenma is the historical father of Astro Boy, because Astro Boy died as a young kid. Tenma then brings him back as Astro Boy, and depending on which iteration you're dealing with, he either leaves or he stays.
Okay, is Tenma a jerk before his son dies as well? Because I think
Sort of.
Just,
It's
seems kind of like a miserable person all around.
sort of this is from my memory. Again, this has been years since I last watched Astro Boy. I was like in middle school. Tenma was back when Astro Boy was like human. He was just constantly engulfed in his work. He was kind of like a father that wasn't there.
Yeah, standard absentee dad trope. I'm so involved in my work, I don't pay attention to my kid. That's standard type of thing. That's the normal anime stuff there.
And then when his son dies, he has a change.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
All right. Where else? Where's I'm going? I got to.
I would say.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm gonna give you guys my biggest complaint.
Okay.
My biggest complaint is because I was actually connected to Gazect, and the moment he died, because I did not see that coming, I thought it was very jarring to then immediately jump to Astro Boy. And
we jumped to Epsilon.
Really
we went to Epsilon.
Well, okay, we jumped to Epsilon.
Yeah.
And you don't really get like a resolution to Gazek's passing until the episode after Epsilon, and even then it didn't really feel like it was finished.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You bring up the great point, Dermy. You bring a good point. That's why I say this goes back to the transition point. Nothing seems to flow together nicely in this show. Everything just kind of either comes to a complete stop and you change. Even though the stories are all connected and they all feed into the final moments and all the reasonings and all the machinations and this and that, it still doesn't blend for me. And I'm going to say this, one of my other problems with this, I found the animation god-awful. The art style, I hated it.
There's a point where Adam's little sister is sitting on the swing outside crying. And I don't know if like this is some sort of crazy swing set, but they had it set up so that you could see the top view of her and there was no bar going across the top of the swing set. Like they were just suspended there, and like the swings were just suspended in air, even though it had the legs for each end, but nothing connecting the legs.
It might have been. I remember the scene, but I wasn't watching the swing set itself, so I can't.
I wasn't either.
It might be an angle, or it might just be part of the technology of that world.
That's what I thought as well, but it looked like there was something coming out of the legs that were supposed to be the connection to the bar, and then there was something else real weird right around that time with someone's neck, just some weird stuff.
But that's to my point. Also, it's just the designs. To me, there was no beauty in the show. Sometimes, at least in really bad shows, and don't get me wrong, at least once or twice a season when I'm watching anime, there's a show that's horrible, but the animation's really pretty. So I at least get some visual aesthetic out of it. There was nothing pretty in this. The only character that looked good was Adam. He's the only one that looks good.
I would say Tenma looks good, and to the point that you're making, I would actually say that they were mixing two different animation styles to try to.
All right, Dermy. I swear to God, I saw Full Metal Alchemist animation style in there at points.
I don't think I saw that, but they were mixing that more realistic looking style, but with Astro Boy. I actually don't mind it. I'm fine with it, but they were mixing it with Astro Boy style designs. And those don't mix together, because you take a look at the scientist that Adam works with the most of the time, he does not look right. But if you look at his character and the actual Astro Boy, he comes from that era where their characters were more kind of roundish and stuff. And it just does not mix well.
I'm going to be honest. I prefer sharp angles, smooth lines, pretty figures. That's the style of anime that I always enjoy. And even when I see something that I haven't seen before, usually after 3 or 4 episodes, I adjust to its style and I'm not bothered by it anymore. But I was continually bothered by the animation style of the show all the way through. I never felt comfortable.
If you look up just classic Astro Boy animation style, you can end up seeing like Tenma and everything. They look one for one, but it's just they mixed it with that realism. And you can't do that with kind of over-exaggerated kind of characters that classic anime kind of had.
going back to something you said earlier, it doesn't know what it wants to be. At some points, it's going to show us, you think it's going to show us something horror related, at least body horror, and then it just doesn't. It just pulls up short and doesn't show you the graphic scene that might have pulled the moment together
Mhm.
several times. And I think that's a mistake.
And they're
the
freaking
direction.
robots. You could have gotten away with it very easily.
Well,
Yeah.
even when they show the mass graveyard, essentially, they don't really show you the mass graveyard. They
You're
just
Mhm.
they just show you bits and pieces that you don't know why these people are like so terrified and horrified by what they are actually seeing. The closest thing to like I would say body horror you get is that the one android that actually killed somebody at the beginning that they go and talk to a few times.
Bra is his name, Bra.
Yeah, Bra
And
or something
again,
like that.
where's the backstory? I when I was done, I went and looked it up to see if he was a carryover from Astro Boy lore, and I didn't see him anywhere in Astro Boy
Nope.
lore. Because I thought maybe
There-
this is some. I thought maybe this is in this version. This was a villain and Astro Boy defeated, and this is the aftermath of that in this reality. But no, he's nothing. He's just another super robot that decided it wanted to kill.
It's one of the reasons why I think I need to read the actual graphic novel to figure out some stuff because I'm willing to bet they left a lot out.
Yeah, there's probably a lot.
I want to talk about Bra because Bra is your Hannibal Lecter of the show.
Definitively.
That was the guy with the thing through his chest.
Yeah, with the spear
Yep.
in his chest, with the hand, and
Yeah.
and that everybody goes to talk to, like Hannibal Lecter. And what happens is, at the end, Tenma makes a deal with him to go take out Teddy Bear Thracian AI. How the hell did he get there?
I don't know. Because he doesn't repair himself. He's still
Yeah.
dragging on the ground.
Yeah, how did he get there? I mean, listen, I know it's anime, and I know they established in this show that people can get places pretty quickly. Those flying cars can really get the distance done. But I just realized, and I only say this because we watch so many crap shows these days, and we question time and how fast people get from one place to another. And I'm just sitting there thinking, wow, how did he get there?
Well,
And how did he get down into the super secret Teddy Bear AI sanctum?
and then did he kill himself?
He
Because
must have,
at the very first time he meets Gazik, does he said, all they have to do to end me is to take the spear out of my chest.
yes. But yet he makes it there and takes out Teddy Bear Thracian AI to therefore remove that as even a future villain. They don't
Mhm.
even leave the groundwork or seeds for a season 2 because that was our ultimate big bad.
That's what I was wondering, if this was just meant to be a one-off thing.
Feels like
Oh,
a one-off at
defend
this point.
it.
Yeah, it feels like a
I
one-off.
believe it was even in the I think the graphic novel even ended there.
Mhm.
Because this is supposed to be an alternate universe, an alternate storyline. It was not supposed to be. It was a graphic novel. Wasn't supposed to be something major or grand.
Mhm.
What again? It begs me to question: like, did they cut stuff out? And some of the stuff that they do have, I think, is just within the exposition. Like the whole the war stuff and the aspects of the war. There was tons of cool stuff there, parallels to the human world, but at the same time, it feels like we could have seen that. That probably could have been cool to delve deeper into that and the aspects of that, because they even hint at PTSD within robots at one point.
This show would have been better served as having started with the war and told us an episode of the war, what happened there, and then picked up with the story they want to tell, because then we would have had the world building. To me, that's one of the things that's missing in the show, the world building. As I said when we started this conversation, I'm dropped right in and is essentially an Astro Boy novice noob. I know nothing, next to nothing, know very little. I get no help in understanding anything.
And I think that's something they're expecting is everybody to know Astro Boy, and in reality, Astro Boy hasn't been it's super iconic and historical, but
Dude,
when was the last Astro Boy show actually?
dude, it's like I said at the beginning of the stream. When we did get ranked on Devil's Channel, Beelzehub, we did the classic anime get ranked episode.
Mhm.
Astro Boy was on that, and the only reason I let you guys place it as high as it did without a fight was because out of respect, because it existed as a foundational thing along with Gundam and stuff like that. But otherwise, it's not relevant. It's not goated. It has no traction in modern day anime lore, history, or desire. No one's beating down the door for an Astro Boy show.
What
And then you
I
get
think,
this. I don't think
To
this
be
is bringing
honest-
people into it. This show doesn't bring people into
to be honest, I think if they did an Astro Boy show, it probably would do decent if they like revitalized it. But the problem
I'm
is
not
with
saying it
this,
wouldn't. I'm just saying nobody's
Yeah.
asking for it.
I would agree with that. Nobody's asking for it, but the problem with this show is you require like an Astro Boy show to try to establish the world, and then go into like a parallel world where you don't need to focus heavy on the world building and just
Let
tell
me-
your story.
Let me throw a perfect parallel to this of a show that deals with relatively the same concepts. Ghost in a Shell.
Mhm.
You don't need to watch the original Ghost in a Shell movie to watch Standalone Complex. And that was my experience. I didn't see the first movie before I saw Standalone Complex, and I dove right in, and the world instantly made me understand everything and drew me in. Standalone Complex does it without telling you to go watch the original movie.
Well, the same would, and I don't mean to bring us back to this conversation like we have almost every episode, but Gundam. You don't need to watch Universal Century to understand C, G, Wing, Ironblood, Orphan, or anything like
Because
that.
it resets the board every time when it's especially when it's alternate universes, parallel universes. It just resets the board. All you need to know is that this is a Gundam, it's a super mech, and in this world, here's how it is a super mech. That's all you got to do. Right. Anybody else want to go further with this? Because I feel like I've said everything I want to say about it. Without, again, as you guys know, when we do these shows, we're not going to talk about every little scene like this. If we had favorite scenes, we would. But I didn't have a favorite scene in this, so I can't bring that
Honest-
up or talk about
I
that.
do have a favorite scene.
Okay, go ahead, Jeremy. Then you.
My
say it.
favorite scene is basically Epsilon's end, because I thought I was also very pulled towards Epsilon as a character and everything that was going on there. The whole child being taken away, and his sacrifice actually did kind of hit home.
Okay.
So I did like all that. There,
And then
I do like this anime. Like, I like this anime a lot.
I
I'm
know
not
you
gonna
do.
lie.
I know, and you've made your case for why you like it. I don't. It doesn't hit home for me. All right, Static. Did you have a favorite scene?
You guys made me watch an anime without any big titty waifus.
Hey, I didn't make you watch anything. This was Dermy's month.
The fuck?
I didn't make you watch.
Blame me.
anything. Not my fault.
I just realized that when we're talking about like character design and stuff, and I was like, "There's no big titties in this one."
There's no pretty ladies in this.
No,
No pretty ladies.
to be honest, there's hardly any women in this.
Yeah, and necessarily there might not be women. They're all robots.
Uh-huh.
They're not even, the sex bots that we would.
The only
we
woman
want.
might be Adolf's wife.
Nope. Gizek's. Wait. If
No,
you
the
count
wife's a
robot
What are
women.
you talking about?
Yeah.
I was about to say, if you count Gizek's wife.
Oh, you know what? You know what? I think the fat chick at the orphanage is human.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
She's human.
No, there's a chick with another chick with the fat chick.
But they're all ugly. There's no beauty in this anime, and let's be honest. Part of the reason anime is awesome are the beautiful women. I like the eye candy. I like the fan service. It's the part of the fantasy.
And-
it's great.
I'll say that's because they focused on the more realistic animation style. The realistic animation style does not grant itself to
You can do
beautiful
it
women.
You can do it if you try. I've seen realistic anime styles bring out beautiful characters. They just didn't want to do it in this. They wanted everybody to have a fat ass nose and be fat and literally be fat. They're all fat.
Well, again, that's them combining the two styles. It is the mixture of like them trying to do realistic with classic Astro Boy theme styles, and it just does not combine.
Okay. Let's give our final thoughts on Pluto and we'll move on. Dermy, this was your choice, so you get to go first.
I would say at least check it out. If you like themology and stuff like that, it is a interesting watch, and it makes your brain think. Is it the greatest anime ever? No. I did find it compelling, though, in my personal view. So, and I have watched it like 3 times.
Wow. You could have done so many other things with that time.
I don't know. There's something about it that just draws me in, and
play Final Fantasy 14 with me.
that's true.
Anyway,
That's
Static,
very true.
Final thoughts.
It could have been good. It could have been good. Could have been interesting. They need I don't know, more like backstabbing stuff or something. Just more
Intrigue.
Yeah.
Intrigue. Yeah.
Like it could have been like more kind of like espionage something. I don't know.
Mhm.
They had a really good base for something, and they just I don't know what the hell they did.
I
It just
think
took too long to get it done.
that speaks to Jeremy's point. It didn't know what it wanted to be. Are we going to be murder mystery? Are we going to be
Okay.
action?
Yeah.
Are we going to be suspense? Are we going to be what are we going to be? Are we going to be drama? What are we going to be? It tried to
Well-
combine it all into one thing, and it didn't stick to a formula.
There's a trailer on Netflix for Pluto that would have been a perfect show if they did it.
Mhm.
It doesn't even it just is Gazek doing like spy kind of thriller thing, and if they stuck with that idea, they would have succeeded. I think.
In the end, I feel as though I'm with Static. There was a good show in here for somebody who wanted something tighter, a little more concise, knew what it wanted to stick to a formula, and tell one story. I feel as though there were too many stories in this. There were too many plot threads, too many plot arcs. Yes, they all led to one place, but they still felt disjointed. And at times you're asking, why am I doing this? A perfect example, North 2. I feel like that whole thing is pointless. Learning about the dude's mom who didn't leave him behind. Yes, does it connect to the whole parents will do anything for their children theme that we get in this story, which leads to the ultimate revelation that Gazek murdered because of his lost child? Yes. But to me, it feels ham-fisted. At times, Dermy talks about the themes, the ideas. They're not improper themes. They're the types of themes you get when you're dealing with robots and souls and emotions and humans. Where's the line? Where do you blur? Where do you cross over? Where does it merge? They're all standard anime trope stuff. But at times for me, it was heavy-handed and it was sloppily done. And again, for me, predictable. I was not surprised by anything that happened in this show, except for the fact that we actually got one battle at the end. I was like, oh, we're going to get a fight. Yay.
Yeah, we're going to see one. Yeah.
We've got battle robots all over the place in the show, and we never get to see them fight except once. So, all right. That's Pluto, guys. You can find it on Netflix or other ways. Go check it out if you are interested, if you haven't watched the whole thing. Now, let's hail howdy the chat. Thanks, guys, for putting up when we do this, because we know that you guys, we don't generally interact with you too much when we do this portion of the show. But now it's portion of the show where you can actively chime in and talk to us, because with the reformatted version of Anime Odyssey, now we're not just going to talk about a show. We're going to talk about some other topics. And one of the biggest topics for the past 2 months, since the last time we had an episode, was the finale of Attack on Titan. If you
It's shit!
Wait, powder dry, young Padawan, powder dry. Here's the thing. I've made it pretty clear in the past. I watched the original anime of the original seasons of Attack on Titan. I went to the manga when they went on that really extended hiatus and not making episodes. And I read the manga pretty religiously up until and about to the middle of the time skip. And I can say all the way back then, I thought during the manga, it had jumped the shark as a good story. I thought it was overrated. I felt that by the time you got to the time skip, the characters were completely undone with all the storylines they had been built up in the previous parts before we discovered that Paradise Island was not the only center of humanity left in the world, that the rest of the world was using that as a prison, all that stuff. I felt that they went in the wrong direction, and I feel as though it's not as good as everybody thought it was. And then when they gave us the manga ending, I laughed because I wasn't surprised that it did this, and I wasn't pleased. And then I thought, fine, the anime people are loving this. They'll get their rude awakening. But Dermy, what happened when they got the anime ending?
They all loved it and simped for it, because I'm starting to think that they got drawn into pretty action scenes, and I can outright say these action scenes, yes, they are cool and awesome and fun and filled with suspense, and you don't know what's going to happen. But the reality is, the story is utter garbage. You outright erase all your themes that you. I'm a big man of themes, as you can tell, because I like Pluto. You erase your main theme solely to do this not even nihilistic, this depressing, pro-genocide, hate-filled monstrosity, and everybody's just falling over backwards to justify every second of it, and to sit there and say that Eren Yeager is the greatest hero ever. This is the greatest 10-year story arc of our entire life. It's not. It literally isn't. If they ended when they went to the ocean, yeah, I would be on board. I'd be on board with that. But the time skip ruins all the actual characters themselves, and then But then the whole justification for Eren doing everything was that, again, well, it was going to make you guys heroes, and there was no other way to avoid it. And I tried to avoid it. I seriously tried, but you never showed us you actually trying to avoid this. All we ever see is you looking at a bunch of kids, seeing you in the future stepping on a bunch of kids, so you decide, I'm going to step on a bunch of kids.
Here's the thing. I did it again. God damn it. I got to stop that. Did it again. What bugs me the most is that I feel as though anime-only fans of Attack on Titan, they got lied to at the very end because they changed dialogue. They changed scenes at the end to soften the blow.
Even the changes don't change anything.
But they soften the blow. They're not as stark and stupid as they were in the manga, which is why all the manga fans were going, just wait. You're going to see what we're talking about. And they're going, what are you talking about? I'm okay. Look,
oh my god, I killed 80% of the humanity. Fuck off! Oh, what was me?
I mean,
I'm a genocidal maniac.
Do you have any thoughts on this?
I haven't watched
Okay.
Attack on Titan since 2020, and that was like a few episodes into the second season.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so you can just sit back and enjoy Dermy yelling. Here's my biggest problem in the end of this. Dermy, I think you're sort of on track when you say people are just into the flash and the bang of it. Because Attack on Titan finale had a lot of flash and bang.
Oh, definitively.
But I'm trying to find the right words because I don't want to go after people who like it. If you like it, that's fine. But what I feel Attack on Titan suffered from, and I've seen this term going around lately in a couple random conversations I've seen, it's become Attack on Titan went from a niche show to a mainstream show. And as soon as an anime goes mainstream, you get a lot of goddamn tourists.
Yes.
And then the tourists come in and they share their superficial designs, or you get the weirdos who go, "Oh my god, Eren's so hot." You get those people who are probably essentially Raylos.
The people that I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen them a lot. Oh god.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I think the problem is there are real fans of the anime who are hardcore anime fans who dug it from beginning to end and probably have all their specific reasons, their bullet points as to why it worked for them. But it's hard to get into a conversation with some of them because the tourists are in the way, especially if you're just doing it on a public forum like X Twitter, because you'll get into something, you'll try to talk something, why do you like this, talking about forth, but then you're going to get 1,000 tourists are going to fly in and flood the conversation with superficial takes where you're trying to have a weeb fight over something. Is that a good description of what's going on?
Yeah, that would be a great description of what's going on, because there's so many people that are just fawning over the end of Attack on Titan because I do think it's because they saw pretty fights. I think it's because they didn't actually analyze the actual storyline, and you don't have to even use essentially the final episode to show where the episode jumps off. You just have to go all the way to this time skip to show where the show falls
where
off.
It lost me. I was completely on board until the time skip, and when it opens in the time skip, and a wounded Eren is sitting in the camp, and he's telling his stories, and you get this rush of new characters who every single one of them I hate. Every single one of them I hated with a passion when I was reading the manga. Annoying little bitch here, annoying little pissant there, annoying dude here, annoying dude there. I'm thinking, where are all the people I just spent years traveling with? Where are they? And then when we finally get back to them, they're completely different. Oh, but Adam, changes happen over 2 years. Well, why didn't we see some of those changes? No, they're just flat changes, and suddenly the story is not the same story I was fighting. I thought I was reading a story for years, watching a story about a world that was overrun by these giant mutants that are eating people. And humanity made a last stand on this island to keep them at bay, and that there's some secret in their genetic code that Eren's father was working on that will help turn the tide and end this forever. No, instead, I'm getting a story about fascism and totalitarianism. Wow, I'm really engaged. Hey, Jeremy, is that a fair statement I just made?
Yeah, I would say that's a fair statement. My biggest complaint, though, in how I see a bunch of these people acting is, I think the mainstream argument is accurate. I think it's stan culture is what it ultimately boils down to. Because I think so many people, you get the whole argument of 10-year arc, 10-year story, 10-year this, 10-year that.
10-year travel. How about, no, it hasn't been a 10-year travel because the manga ended 3 years ago. The story ended 3 years ago.
I think there's a difference, though, between several of the anime fans and the manga fans, in which the anime fans, people that solely watch anime, will never pick up a manga.
See, I do both.
And I do both as well. There's some mangas that I will never watch their anime versions of. Mm-hmm. When it comes to this, though, I think what happened is people gave those 10 years. Mm-hmm. They are emotionally invested in these characters, and they're stanish towards them because they don't want to admit the truth. They don't want to admit that everything kind of fell apart.
I can see that as a reason. Here's how I knew there was something wrong overall. When CBR gives it a 5 out of 5 stars.
And when CBR has problems with Demon Slayer, which is very accurate to the manga.
Demon Slayer is so much better than Attack on Titan. It's so much better.
Well,
and yeah, people call Demon Slayer mainstream, but Demon Slayer's, I care about, those characters are so good.
Well, another part of this is, I think, playing off the whole idea of mainstream, I think this is a example of when the creator gets too big for his britches. I think I don't remember the guy's name.
I don't know his name. I do, or her name. I think it's a her. Might be a her.
I thought it was a he, but either or. It doesn't really matter. The moment it became mainstream, everybody was talking about it. They got tons of press attention. Everybody was enjoying it. This person, but this person was on top of the world, and then the ending happened. But I think as the time went on, he was writing it. He thought everything that he was writing was like gold and stuff like that, and his ego became inflated. Thought no matter what he did was going to be fantastic and beautiful. Then he created the ending, and everybody realized that it was shit.
He was phone, shit. FN Steve, he's on his phone. His internet's down. He's sitting in the park near the truck stop.
Hi, Steve.
But ultimately, my biggest thing when it comes to Attack on Titan, I think the creator became egotistical without realizing that he has an ego issue. Because you compare, I would say One Piece is mainstream. And you compare
in Japan, it definitely is. Now it is thanks to Netflix.
Yeah, and one of the things I would say, like when I'm comparing like the manga, how these creators work, the Attack on Titan creator became very mainstream within like Japan as well, along with worldwide. Mm-hmm. One Piece creator is mainstream definitively in Japan, and at least the manga, I would say it's mainstream manga worldwide.
Well, all you got to do is look at Google Trends. It has been for 20 years. It just stays the course.
And I would then say, look at the difference between the two creators. Oda does not have an ego issue. Oda knows
hides
what
his
Oda.
face. Oda hides his face. Nobody knows unless you've met the man face to face. You don't know what he looks like.
And on the flip side, I think the Attack on Titan creator ended up creating an ego issue, thinking, essentially going down the same path that not Tolkien, but Martin did, Germ. The same path that Germ did. They got too big for their britches. They thought they were on top of the world, and they created this thing that they thought they could do no wrong. And in reality, people did see it wrong. And when you get these anime fans that some of them are tourists, some of them are stans, they're not willing to actually admit that this was not good. And they're trying to find all sorts of justifications to argue why it was good. Because you can.
I've been there. I've done the rationalization thing before, and then as I think Shock said it here. Where was it? Shock said here. Over time, your rationalizations will wear away over something.
Same thing. The same thing happened after Star Wars. Same thing happened with Game of Thrones. Same thing's been happening with Doctor Who. Now, Game of Thrones has a minor resurgence, but remember after the series finale of Game of Thrones, people had to be talked into realizing that was not good. That was actually pretty garbage, and I think that's what we're seeing here. Because when I am doing these like weeb discussions, and usually it's with Power Couch King Paul Hadoken. Love you, Paul, but you like Attack on Titan, so I'm using you as an example. I'm using you as an example here. I point out like everything that they did in Attack on Titan, another anime did better. Like you pointed out with in comparison like Ghost in the Shell to Pluto, I can point to Fate's Stay Night, this idea of getting rid of all war and conflict in the entire world. Fate's Stay Night did it a whole lot better, and then they don't follow through, but they show you how that would actually play out in a much more compelling and unique way. You go to villain, main hero character becoming the villain, I'll point you to Code Geass.
Oh man,
extremely well versioned.
Just got a new collector's edition apparently.
Ooh, I want it. I want it now.
I saw it a little earlier. I'm gonna have to look that up.
But that's a wonderful example of your hero becoming the villain, and I won't even call him really the villain in there, but he does take up the mantle of villain in a much more compelling way, in a much more thoughtful way, and you can see that
Lelouch is such a complicated character.
And you can see like the actual justification for him becoming this way, for him going this route.
Lelouch is how you do it right. Aaron is how you do it wrong, in my opinion.
Yes, but then also like I go to this whole, I won't even say nihilistic world, but Attack on Titan has a serious issue with what the fuck's going on with. I don't know where my keys are. I'm pressing something.
Oh, I thought you were saying something else.
Oh no, I'm dealing. I was stepping on my keys. I was wondering what the fuck was going on.
His keys, Static, you got to go.
Yep, I got to head out.
Well, Static, tell everybody what you do.
So yeah, you can check me out on my channel, Static 2020, where I cover more current events and trending topics. And right after this show, please come check out my channel where I will be streaming with some of the people you see here in the chat, with Steve and Shock and my buddy Bradley Burnett and Fractured Filtered. And we're going to talk about Doctor Who and The Message and Disney admitting their failure, and that all kind of wraps up into a lot of this really interesting stuff going around free speech with Elon Musk and Rumble's lawsuit. And just kind of like, I'm going to try and tie all those things with a nice little bow on it. And yeah, that's what we'll be doing over there here in the next few minutes.
Outstanding. Link in the description below, guys. Static, thanks for being here, and we will have you back, definitely.
Yeah, let me know. This was fun, even though the show was kind of whatever. Like it actually gave me a reason to just watch something.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
Yeah.
All right. Take it easy, man, and I will see you probably on Tuesday.
Yeah, take it easy, gentlemen.
Later.
See you, Static.
All right. Jeremy, did you find your keys?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. Good. You won't be lost in the park all night then.
No, I won't. But one of the points I was trying to make is Attack on Titan, a lot of people say, well, it's a nihilistic show. It's very realistic. It's very oppressive and dark, and it follows through. But
I
then I
disagree.
point to, and
Because
I disagree too.
let me interject real quick before I finish your point. I disagree because the early season before the time skip, it wasn't nihilistic. It was hopeful.
It was hopeful.
It was hopeful, and it felt like a fantasy world. And then they dragged it down into modernity and reality.
Yes, but like, let's take on the whole nihilistic, hopeful, all that. I would say a perfect comparison, not a show, but a manga that does all that fantastically, where you question, is this nihilistic or is this hopeful? Berserk, again, does all those
Not a fan of Berserk. I know enough of it, though. I know you love it.
Oh, I love it to death. And this is one of those examples where it does all the themes that Attack on Titan does, but 100 times better. And if anybody thinks that in the end of Berserk it's going to be a happy, joyful ending,
even I know and we know we're going to get the real ending. The creator passed on what's supposed to happen to his best friend, who now runs the show on that. So you're going to.
It's going to be a super bittersweet ending. But on the flip side, if you take the same style that Attack on Titan was going down, that should have been a bittersweet ending. And what we got was. I just want to go jump off a cliff.
Do you think Guts survives?
I've been questioning that because I think you can do a justification. It could be like you could do a justification to say Guts survives in the end. That could be like your big plot twist or something like that. Because all signs kind of points to there's no way he is going to survive, but I think you could justify him as surviving. Okay. It is really hard to tell within that world.
From what I know of what's going on in that, I didn't read it, but I followed it for a time. I'm sort of, I'm let's say I'm dangerously knowledgeable. I could be dangerous, but I could get a lot of shit wrong if I started talking about it.
I need to read it again, but how the world.
With that story, it would make complete sense if at the end Guts doesn't survive. It would make complete sense to me.
But literally both ways could follow through. Like, you could have a justification for him surviving. I lean more towards I think he's going to die. But I think there will be like this. I think that's going to play into the whole bittersweet ending. Like, I think there will be somewhat of a hopeful message to it at the end, but it won't be super nice, in a similar vein as Iron Blood Orphan. Another super bittersweet ending that does everything a whole lot better than Attack on Titan did.
Well, again, this conversation we had is probably not going to be popular with people who may come across this now or on the Reupload, but we're giving you our opinions. We're anime veterans, we're manga veterans, and we were fans of Attack on Titan up to a point.
Oh, I loved it. I even loved season 2.
I liked season 2, 1, 2, and then I went to the manga. And I was good until, as I keep saying, the time skip.
I wasn't even
ruined everything, and I love time skips.
I wasn't even opposed to the idea of the time skip.
Not the idea; it's what happened after it.
I would say it was what happened after everything kind of catches up. Because I was actually kind of with it with the time skip, with it him being in the city and everything like that. But then all the subsequent stuff that happens after that, it destroys characters, it destroys the themes, it just changes everything in a way that I didn't like, and I could have been 100% down with all of this.
I think I said it best for the first time, vocalizing as we're talking about this. It went from feeling this is some sort of abstract fantasy world where all this crazy is happening, and then it just pulled it into modernity and realism, and it sucked all the fun out of it, as well as rewriting characters that were different just 5 minutes ago. Their stories changed, everything changed, and it turned Eren into an abomination of a character. And I don't mean that as he tried to rule the world. I mean, it destroyed his character. When some people I know praise the whole "I want her to be miserable" scene, that's an embarrassing fucking moment.
It 100% is. This was somebody you loved.
That's not cool. I mean, having somebody pine for somebody, that's more classic anime tropes, but crying like a little bitch on the ground.
After you just genocided the world.
Well, this actually happened before, remember? This is their this was he's remembering the conversation, if I remember correctly, because their whole meeting happened before those moments, and it's when Mikasa kills him that it triggers the memories in everybody.
I thought it was when Mikasa. I thought it was that's like the in between time as Mikasa kills him. These are like flashes of everything like
you're
that.
Gonna by the time you remember this, we're going to be trying to kill each other.
Oh,
So
okay.
These event, those the dream conversation happened before the final battle.
Okay.
But still,
I missed that line. So
again, I'm pretty sure that's how it broke down. Correct me if I'm
one
wrong.
of us is correct.
Well, it's 50-50 chance. So
Yeah.
one of us is right or wrong. And I don't care if I'm wrong on this. It doesn't change the fact that he's a crying, simping bitch in that moment.
Mhm.
And it's not. It's tearing down your own character that you created, who was, up until the time skip, a hero. The one we're all relating to. And then you turn him into a genocidal maniac whose whole design is to make his friends heroes so that his world is his land is seen as not enemies. But then what do they do in the final scene, Dermy, of the whole entire thing?
Literally, the final scene is, and they justify this. They say, well, there will be a retaliatorial attack because now Paradise Island is seen as a threat. There will be a retaliatorial army and everything like that. The final moments of the whole thing, the whole credits is showing you the retaliatorial attack, ending with a nuclear bomb, and then you have another time skip where you follow a random little person. I think it's a guy.
It's a rando dude. It's some random dude.
Some random dude and a dog as they walk up to the exact tree where Aaron's head and Mikasa are buried, and it's opened up just like the same way it was when it came to Ymir, when she stumbled upon the tree. So they're implying that everything's coming back. So the whole point, one of the other points of Aaron doing this was to end the actual Titan reign. So then Aaron's whole plan was pointless because they're just going to come back, even though the whole plot point is Aaron was going to be the end. Like, Aaron was the last of the Attack Titans and everything like that. So you were going to see the end. Oh, well, no, we're going to have more.
And I hate that kind of ending. Let's just make it all. That's why when people say I love this 10-year journey, well, that one little frame makes your 10-year journey worthless, in my opinion. This is why I always say I don't buy a series until I see that final frame. And that final frame has to stick the landing. That's why everything on my shelf here that is anime, that isn't digitally owned and stored, has to have a good ending.
I'm okay with like a decent ending. And in some situations, there is a justification to have a open ending if it's like a prequel or something like that.
You're misunderstanding me.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is I have to like how something ends before I spend money on it.
Oh, I get.
I'm not gonna buy something piecemeal season. I'm gonna buy the complete season when it's done. If it ends well for me, if it doesn't end well for me, then I just wasted my money.
Yeah, I was gonna buy all of Witch of Mercury, and I don't even want to buy the Gunpla, and I'll buy all sorts of Gunpla. I don't even want to look at those things. That's how depressed I was.
That's what it does. That's what a bad ending will do. You don't want to touch something. That's why when I want one of these days, because they have it out, I'm waiting for it to be all in one thing. They finally last year started putting Inuyasha on Blu-ray. They started transferred Blu-ray. Last year, maybe it was the year before, I think it was last year, they did a sequel series about Sesshomaru's daughters. And I was so nervous about that I just wanted it to not ruin Inuyasha. And it was fine. It wasn't it was one of those, it was a very simple show. It wasn't that complicated. It wasn't as epic as the original. But it was fine. And it didn't ruin Inuyasha for me. I can go back and I can get all 7 seasons in final act. I could rebuy. I used to have the movies. Used to actually be my Thanksgiving ritual to watch all the movies, but the disc got damaged, so I had to get rid of them. And I'd rather have them on Blu-ray anyway. I used to, so I can now go back when the time comes. I will get all of Inuyasha happily because the sequel series didn't ruin it. But if the sequel series had done anything to ruin Inuyasha, it would have been dead to me. It would have been dead
Oh,
to me because I couldn't look. I wouldn't be able to look at it. But it didn't. It didn't ruin the original characters. In fact, it kind of made them a little more badass in some ways. And it introduced new characters that weren't obnoxious and terrible. And it had great family moments, which of course I always like. But that's just
Yeah.
my example of something. How something could be ruined, but in this case that wasn't. But there are plenty of other moments in time where things ruined. I mean, perfect example. We talked about it. Code Geass. If they hadn't, I know this is probably a contentious statement to make because I know a lot of people don't like the Code Geass sequel movie that came out. I liked it personally because
I
the
still
story.
need to watch it. I don't like the idea, but I know what happened. A lot of the points in it.
Well, the fact that it brought Lelouch back, as we always
Yeah.
thought he was the one in the cart. When I always say CC, I know it's C2. I always said CC for years because I watched it in the sub,
Mhm.
So when CC says, "Yeah, Lelouch," at the end, it had to be him in the cart, and the fact that it was him, they brought him back. I dig it, and I wanted that. So I want all of Code Geass. And the problem is, though, I might be hesitant because there's another season coming out. They're doing a new series. Problem is, it's been in development hell for years. It was supposed to come out last year, but it didn't.
I
But
kind of don't want another series. I
neither
haven't
do
seen the
I.
movie.
I kind of like the. I mean, can I say the end of the movie, the final scene? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I don't mind spoilers like this because I technically have it out of context,
It's
so
been out
I
for
don't
like
mind.
3 years, so I mean,
Yeah, you're not really
uh,
spoiling
the
anything. I
final
just need to
scene
watch it.
is the whole thing is Lelouch essentially becomes like Cece. He becomes an immortal like her, and at the final scene is it's in the future, and the two of them are just basically fending off a bunch of zombies, and he goes, "I am Lelouch V. Britannia, bow before me." It's like, yeah,
That does actually sound pretty
and
freaking
they're just
epic.
standing next to each other, being badass, and it's just, yep, that's what I want. I want Lelouch to be badass because Lelouch was a freaking badass with his
And
mind.
the best part about Lelouch, and I know this is going off track, but
Oh, we're
he
way off track.
didn't. I know he didn't really fight all the time. Like he
No,
was never really on the
he was a
front lines, but
strategist.
he was still such a fucking badass.
It was a
Oh,
strategist. That's how he won, by planning and manipulating and getting everything in place so that it works. And I know people have a problem with the movie because they bring Shirley back to life in the movie. It's like, wait, what? What? I let it go. I let it go because overall I enjoy it. I'm okay with it. I like it.
there's things like you can justify some like weird moments in anime. My favorite, I love G Gundam. I love it to death.
I know you
That
do.
ending is not good. That ending comes out of nowhere, and I still
She's
love it.
topless, though. She's topless at the end.
She is topless, but that whole superpower that they have doesn't make sense. And
I know. But you accept it. It's again, and you admit it though, and that's the thing.
Mhm.
You admit it, and back to what we were talking about. We wonder if there's going to come a point when people who are fawning over Attack on Titan will peel back the onion layers and understand, no, here's where it doesn't work. Here's kind of where it fell apart. You can like it, but let's have the conversation of why it didn't work, and let's be real.
I think what it's going to end up taking is the debate. We're gonna have to have a debate, and we're gonna have to try to get through to the people we know we can get through to.
You have to wait till the stands go away.
Yeah, you gotta wait till the stand. Well, stands are always gonna be there, I think, but you're gonna have to talk
Wait till they
to.
move on to something else, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I mean, perfect
there.
example. Perfect example.
Mhm.
Again, different level of of the fellowship on our sphere. Jeremy Geeks and Gamers, he was all about Attack on Titan. As a new to anime guy over the past couple of years, he was all about it when he started watching it. Started to fall off a little bit. He still has to see it, but he's got people in his crew that love it.
And
So
he does not like it.
and
He's been saying that he didn't like it.
He was starting to fall off. That is, I would love to have a conversation with Jeremy, bring him in it,
Mhm.
and one of his crew, one of the Geek Gamers guys who liked it, and then say,
I
okay,
would.
let's talk about it like this with like a few with the same panel here where we're not going to be standing about it, where we can have a legitimate
I would love to.
deep conversation.
I would love to talk to Ivan about it. Ivan, Jeremy, or even Krista about it.
I know you would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think we could have a great conversation, and Ivan would make us laugh, definitively.
Well, it would be 3 weebs and an anime newbie, 4 weebs and an anime newbie, if you can. Yeah, 4 would be 4 of us, and it would get in the weeds, and we just hope Jeremy wouldn't fall asleep because we got weeby and weebier as it happened. But
I mean,
but yeah,
Jeremy's starting to become more and more of a weeb.
I mean
He's like,
that even though we know people in Geeks
Mhm,
and Gamers, that's a pie in the sky thing. So we're
mhm.
not promising that, guys. We are not promising that at all. That was just an example I wanted to use of having a situation where we could have a conversation about Attack on Titan with two weebs who like it and two weebs who don't, and one anime noob who has that down the middle take, who is not in a stand mode or weeb mode or super fan mode, and just didn't like we last we heard was not liking what was coming down the pike.
Mhm.
So that's why we laid it out like that. It would be an interesting discussion, probably some shouting, but it would be weeb shouting, and that's going to happen, like when Dury and I did the Full Metal Alchemist thing. But
Yes.
all right, I got nothing else. Do you have anything else you want to bring up today?
Uh, Nothing really.
All right.
I think we're pretty much good unless
Yep.
I think you're gonna wait to announce next stuff. So
T-Man from what? I don't.
what?
Don't forget to discuss T-Man from Dragon Treasure about. I don't know what you're talking about, Vincinger.
Oh,
I-
wait. Don't forget to discuss T-Man from
T-Man from
Dragon Treasures T. So that's the Nick Rekieta guy and all the Law
Oh,
Nerd guys.
I don't know those guys. I don't know those guys.
I know of him. I haven't actually got to talk to him yet. What was his point that he was? I'm going. Don't forget to discuss T-Man from the Dragon Treasure about Attack on Titan at Renaissance. I don't even know what he's thinking about it. I need to watch his stuff.
I don't know T-Man. Remember, guys, I watch a very small circle of people on YouTube, people I know or people in the fellowship. I don't range too far out. So
I've been
I'm
needing
very careful.
I've been needing to get into T-Man's stuff because he's very knowledgeable on anime, but I don't know what his position on Attack on Titan is. So I'm not gonna, because of that, I'm not gonna speak to it.
Yeah. Well,
dude's freaking base is all hell though.
I can announce what we're doing next month because we have already chosen it for December 2023, last Anime Odyssey of this year. We are, Jeremy happened to mention the franchise a little while ago. We are stepping into the Fate franchise, guys. We are going to do Fate Zero, the prequel one, the only one that is relevant to all the branching storylines of from Fate Stay Night to Unlimited Blade Works and Heaven's Wheel. So we're doing Fate Zero, and we're going to have two guests next month. We're going to have our good friend Devil, maybe do it, and Dungeon Taker. I forget. Is that
I believe that's his name.
Yeah, Dungeon Taker. But our buddy, we met him on Get Ranked. He's going to join us. Oh, Dermy died. Dermy's connection finally died, guys. We're done anyway. So next month, Fate Zero. It's 25 episodes. So if you don't have a lot of time, there he is. He's back. He's back. Hey.
I hit the wrong button trying to get out of the chat.
I'm gonna say, did the strange man looking at you attack you?
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. And well, your back taco was greater than his. Anyway,
exactly.
Yeah, so we're doing Fate Zero next month. 25 episodes. It's a fantastic start. You guys know that I'm a fan of the Fate franchise. I used clips from it in the intro, so you know I'm a fan. I love it. So it's our first step into it. A lot of fun. If you haven't watched it, get ready. Get ready. You want to talk about a hardcore show? Fate Zero. That's hardcore.
Legitimately, and also it brings up some awesome questions. Mm-hmm. Oh, some awesome positions. Morality, but morality 100%. And then
so good.
I'm just gonna point it out here. If this is just the question that I like to pose when it comes to Fate, who would you wish to summon as your champion?
Oh, I could say
especially when they.
I mean, of the list or throughout all of history?
Throughout, because of the rules in Fate you can summon basically anybody. Anybody throughout history and anybody throughout literature and all sorts of people.
I would right now. I mean, I have a list in my head, but off the top of my head, I take Guan Yu from Romance 3 Kingdoms. Guan fucking Yu, baby. Yeah.
I'd always choose Alexander the Great, and we'll talk about it we'll talk about it.
Dude, well, he's featured, so he's a feature. Anyway, all right, guys, thanks everybody. Chat, you've been amazing tonight. I know you guys had a good time. Remember, hit that like button if you're watching now or on the re-upload. Hit that like button, and we'll see you next month. Until then, take it easy. Have a good night or day, wherever you may be.